can see you there.
Something big is going on here.
From hunting ghosts to Bigfoot.
Paranormal, UFOs, true crime, and more.
We won't just be spouting articles.
I was researching for your entertainment.
Beginning of a new world.
The best guac you'll ever fucking eat.
True story.
It's basically like one day you walk outside and you see that the ants are playing with matches.
This is the Black Cat Report. See you on the other side.
Sailing the high seas, a patch of red on the horizon glints over the top of the wheel, while the deck is full of cats scurrying around and attacking every little eye patch they see. While the captain of the ship pulls out his BlackBerry and calls his lawyer about how to escape the coming litigation that the other pirateers are bringing against him for burning down their boats and stealing their insurance money. If this was confusing to you, good, because I was just as confused writing it.
I'm so confused.
Yes!
Yay!
Joey, what
That
the
sounds
hell is
cool.
going on?
That's what I said too. Welcome to the Black Cat Report and our episode on people who fake their deaths.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
I am Joey, for your host for today, and with me is the Bontiferous Betsabe,
Hola.
Gilandrius Gill,
Yo.
and Coniferous Selena.
Carnivorous, cruciferous. Hi.
Luciferous Selena.
Whoa, it's got to be an alliteration. Alliterations only. Today, we're going into the wide world of celebrities. Well, they aren't celebrities, but just people who have faked their own death. One or two you might have heard of, or some you might have not. We go all the way from the 1600s to the 2010s. For as long as there has been loot to plunder, there have been people faking their own deaths. And we'll start with our first member of the I Got Caught Club, Timothy Dexter.
So random.
I'm
Yeah.
so stoked about this shit right now.
Born in Massachusetts in 1947, Timothy Dexter was born to a poor farming family. His grandparents had immigrated to the United States from Ireland. At the age of 8, he started working on the family farm as a laborer. So just working with his parents' farm, like usual at that time. Let's just say he was on the road to being a poor farmer, just like his parents before him and their parents before them. The road was laid out for him to just be another peg in the board, but Timothy had other ideas. He had higher aspirations and wanted to better himself. Like most people of the time, he dropped out of school. At age 14, he decided it was time to make his move. He moved to the
He's
booming...
going to Broadway.
He's going to Broadway.
Going to Broadway.
He moved
Yes!
to the... Yes! He moved to the booming metropolis of Charlestown, Massachusetts. Not to be confused with Charleston, South Carolina. So, he moved to Charlestown, Massachusetts, which was named for King Charles I. I do want to go off the rails for a moment and say King Charles was beheaded because he dissolved
So
the
metal.
parliament. Yeah, he dissolved the parliament and believed in the divine right of kings, which meant he was ordained by God and all that he did was approved by God, blah, blah, blah. Just like some customer ordering a double venti mocha frappuccino with half calf hazelnut pump and 2 extra shots of espresso at Starbucks. He believed he was always right. So that was him.
Or
you know?
a certain orange old man that seems to find himself at podiums for some reason.
Yeah, happens.
Might have been banned
He's
from
coming
Twitter at
back.
some point.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like this is an
24.
outside joke that I don't get.
Trump, you don't know who that is?
I don't go outside.
Well, trumping that, now that I've sufficiently thrown us off the
Anyways.
track, let's throw these wheels
Speaking
back
of
on.
con artists,
Yeah. Timothy had just turned 14 and he was ready for the trip to the port town of Charleston, Massachusetts. So at this time, he arrived with basically no money, no clothes, no new clothes. He had a pair of clothes, no job, and no prospects.
no clothes.
Yep.
He was naked.
Yep.
He was, yes.
We
it was-
have
He
we've
rubbed
failed
oil
to
on his body
mention
and just
so far.
slithered in.
We failed to mention so far. His last name was McVeigh, but we'll get to that later.
That comes out later. He lived a few lifetimes. Well, he was just a poor boy from a poor family trying to move away from his spare life of his monstrosity. So,
That was a coherent
Nice.
sentence.
yep. He eventually found a person to start training him as an apprentice in tanning. No, not the kind of spray tanning you see on Instagram. A tanner was a person who salvaged and prepared the hides to turn into leather, also turning the hides of animals into leather. Timothy apprenticed for 7 whole years to become a master tanner. It's a long
What?
time.
Nice.
He
Yeah.
apprenticed for
Ian was
7
also
years.
something of a tanner.
Something of a tanner himself, I believe, yeah. Once he was finished with his apprenticeship, his employer gave him a brand new suit. As was the custom of the
Nice.
time, it was called a freedom suit.
Hell yeah.
Damn.
It
Yeah,
was made of leather.
yeah, it was made of leather.
That's what I was
All
picturing.
leather suit. He
Squeaky
fit right
suit.
in Texas. The wonderful, aspiring mind that he was, he decided he wanted to build his own business as a tanner, as you would from becoming being apprentice tanner.
Master tanner.
Again, he wanted to build his own business, but he was left with no money, no home, one set of clothes this time, and also no real prospects. So he had his freedom suit, and he was just walking around in his freedom suit being like, wow, I'm so free right now. But I don't have anything, so I can't do anything. So he decided the one thing that he had was a freedom suit, and it had to go. So he sold it for
What?
He sold it for $8.20.
Good money.
That's
Good money
it?
back then.
Which in
I mean,
today's
that was-
Oh,
money,
that's
That's
that is like
1700s.
$14 million back then.
No.
or at least 500.
Yes. I'm pretty sure the Louisiana Purchase was cheaper than $8.
Yes.
Okay. I will actually Google this.
He used that money to move to a neighboring town called Newburyport. They were very
Wow.
in-
With
That's 'cause
$8, he
support-
moved to a new town.
yep.
Support
in
animal
17
life
Living in the
change?
wrong time.
Yeah. In 1767, he took that $8 and moved. So
Goddamn.
I looked at this town, and the most exciting thing there is to do there right now is to gawk at the Plum Island Lighthouse or go stare at a random pink house.
Ooh.
Within a year of moving here, Timothy had got land, and he gone and got married.
Oh,
Wow.
what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
he was.
easy. Fake it
Yep.
till you make it.
Yep.
So
when he
young.
moved. Yeah, when he moved to New, he's 22.
That's
He's
pretty
only
young.
22. He's
Well,
22.
it's this time in the 1700s. He might not live till 50s, 60s. So
True.
he's
No,
only,
this still
you know-
happens. I have many patients that come up and they are like way younger than me, and they're like, "My spouse is my emergency contact," and I'm like,
It's like you're 19.
Oh,
I don't know. I guess they love each other and stuff, which is good. But
some people do. You know.
I'm just kidding.
Some
That's
people do.
I mean, it's true. Mr. Dexter married a woman named Elizabeth Frothingham, who was 8 years older than him and had 4
Ooh,
children
full
already,
sugar.
which was not
Yeah.
very common.
Cougar.
Yeah, she had 4 kids too. So, but she
Wow.
had lots and lots and lots
Ah,
of money.
I knew what it was as soon
Yep.
as you said that. I was like, "Ooh!" He
Yep.
saw dollar signs. He saw every head in that
Sugar
household was
mommy.
a dollar
Mhm.
sign.
Yep. He didn't
Sugar
care.
mommy.
So her Elizabeth's original husband had a very successful leather shop. And she yep, right, same
You'll
job.
never live
Leather
up to
mama.
him. You'll never be as good as he was.
It's,
Hmm.
yeah.
He'll never spank me like he did.
with the leather paddle, and had left her a lot of money and also an estate. So she also had a big
Full
estate.
leather closet.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, huge leather closet. He was a leather fan, is what I've heard.
Mhm.
Once married, Timothy moved into the large estate, of course, in Boston. He set up shop in the basement of the estate, selling many things like whale blubber, hides, and what I can
Okay.
only suspect is mouse skin trousers, because they called them mouse hide trousers. So
Interesting.
must have had
Dear
a lot of
God,
mice.
that's an interesting. That is a very interesting way to deal with an infestation.
Yep.
Like you might, even if there's 400 mice in your house, you might be able to make one pant leg.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah. I don't
the
understand.
fucking leather game is fucking intense, man.
Yeah. You have to have your niche. I guess he found it. So Elizabeth started a shop that sold notions. So if you don't know
Wait,
notions
shoes
are,
with no shins.
no. Notions are things like buttons, sewing kits, fabric, and anything like that. Yeah, just like little notions. You get the notion to sew is kind of the idea that they went behind it. Yeah.
That's
Then
good.
what
And
is
it's
that
cute little
song
shop.
about?
Super quaint.
I would like to know if you got the notion.
They wanted to sew, I guess. The notion to sew.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like with their wiggle
Rock the boat.
bits.
Yeah, with their, you know.
Yeah.
We are an explicit podcast, so I do believe you could say wiggle bits. Dexter and Elizabeth both worked hard throughout the Revolutionary War years and saved up a lot of money. Tim, I'm actually going to call him Tim now because it's much easier, was wondering
There's
where he
so
could...
many holes in these coats. Sorry.
Yeah, she was very good at sewing. So Tim was wondering where he could put his money to go from just comfortably rich to super rich because he
That's
was really
what's up.
yeah, you know, you have to get more money. And he didn't like that his
Mhm.
neighbors believed that he was just a dumb country bumpkin who was poor and his family was poor. So they decided, these neighbors, these rich neighbors of his, were like, you know what? Let's get together and play some tricks on him. So they told him to invest all of his money into continental dollar bills. So at the time,
point.
during the Revolutionary War, the government decided they're going to start investing money into continental dollar bills, which is basically the currency at the time. And so they thought, the neighbors thought that he would lose all his money and eventually have to move away, you know?
Mhm.
So
That's so
Mhm.
terrible. Like, how old are these people? Like, this is so high
Doesn't matter. They're
school.
rich.
yeah, this is
Rich
their
people
life.
aren't mature.
This is literally all they have time.
immature.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
He's
never had to
poor
wait for
now.
anything. They're not mature.
Yep. It's their joke. So
Yeah.
during
Let's ruin his life.
exactly.
know.
Their town is literally
He's
named
poor.
after
He
a
deserves
king.
it.
Wait, is he still in Charlestown? Is that right?
No, he's in Newberry right. No, I actually he's in Boston right now because he moved with his wife's
Aw.
his house. So obviously there's a lot of rich people there at that time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the Revolutionary War, instead of him going broke, Congress decided to make good on the dollar bills. So he was buying them basically like for nothing because almost like a loan to the government to pay for the
Jokes on them.
yeah. And so
Get
he
them
became
war
even
bonds.
he even became more rich, laughing all the way to the bank.
Sorry, I did want to say this is starting to play out like one of those scenarios, like one of those cliches where like the group of people are like, we're going to get him. And everything they do just improves that person's life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Speaking of that, he still didn't have the respect of his peers. So they still thought, you know, he was that old country bumpkin that came up from nothing. What could possibly know about class and being rich? Ho. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to build some ships. So he built
Mhm.
2 ships named Mehitabal, which I don't know why, and Congress.
The fuck?
Yeah, Mehitabal.
He is dumb.
Yeah,
That's
and then,
not a word.
and then Congress. So I guess he could say that he owned Congress.
Yeah. That's actually pretty witty. I was gonna
Yeah,
say
yeah.
like it makes sense. Congress just like basically voted at the start of the country to be like money baby and
Yep.
like from a bunch of fucking money. So he's like, yeah, Congress, bro, like this, you know what I'm saying?
He's the only one that can make Congress move.
So again, pissed off at Timothy, old Timothy, and trying to play more
Timothy.
tricks on him. The other rich dignitaries kept giving him, in quotations, bad advice, which I'm quoting right now. So the next advice they gave him was to sell bed warmers to the tropical West Indies. So tropical West Indies, as it sounds, is a very hot place. So he did it.
Oh my
And
god.
his ship's captain sold them to the woman there, and he made a huge profit.
Huh.
Like
Wow.
as in like the Caribbean.
Yes, as in the Caribbean, because they still wanted the beds a little hotter there, and he sold the captain
Yeah.
that drove him down there sold all the bed warmers. So the bed warmer is just like a kind of like an oven thing that you heat up and you
Yeah.
put it underneath your bed and it warms the whole bed up. So instead of getting into a cold bed, you get into a really warm bed. And
He
they
is
thought
right
it was
with the gods.
he knows what's
Yeah,
going
dude.
on. There was another one that I didn't mention here, but I'll mention it now. They told him to buy coal. And so, because they were like, oh, coal.
No one will ever need this.
And so coal was coal. And so coal was like at this point, like it was like available everywhere. And then,
Yeah.
and like it was super
Motherfuckers
cheap.
tripping over
It was super cheap. And so he spent all of his money into coal, shipped it to the UK. As they were on the water, they had a coal strike and there wasn't coal anywhere around. So he sold it like hotcakes, and because everybody wanted it, they needed it. His ship arrived just in time, and he made bukus of money off of that. So that
Oh
was
my
another thing.
God.
So going along with more that he actually still was amazing for, they told him to his stupid rich dignitary friends, oh, why don't you take wool mittens and sell them in the tropical in Indies? And he was like, well,
Why don't-
okay.
Why don't you attach googly eyes to rocks and sell them in the desert?
And literally he took wool mittens, took them down to the tropical Indies, and on the way to Siberia, Asian merchants would buy them to sell them in Siberia. So again, he made another bundle of money off of it because
This
these
is
guys
getting
just kept
so ridiculous.
it's just they kept giving him these ideas, and he's like, all right, none of you are doing it, so I might as well.
What the fuck was his wife doing this whole time?
I know.
By the way,
She was working in Notions. She opened her store. So
Oh,
she was
that's right,
working
that's
in
right.
that store, yeah. And so she still had
And
it at this
her
point.
husband's a breadwinner. At this point, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they're both winning that bread. They got a full-on bakery going. Like,
Well, he
this is
flipped it
Yeah.
too
power
because
couple.
he flipped it because she had the money at the beginning, and then she was helping him get open the leather shop,
Mhm.
and then eventually he was like, I'm not satisfied with this, so he goes, okay, let me go work harder. So going into the next business idea, honestly, it made me love him, and it makes us love him because he found out in Newburyport, which is such a great name for a town, they had a problem with cats, and they had too many
Aw.
strays on the street, and it was bothering the townspeople. So
Aw.
the
Why
townspeople
were they
got all
bothered
together
by that?
because
They're simple
they're-
We can't judge them.
we
They're
can't judge 'em.
stupid.
the townspeople put to a vote to exterminate the cats, and
Okay.
the people voted no, that they would not do that. That's not the path they would
Good.
take.
They were
Yep.
petting the cats with one hand and raising their hands to exterminate them with the other.
Mhm.
Is that
Yes,
what
pretty
happened?
much. Pretty much, but they didn't do
No,
it.
they're not
So-
exterminating them.
But they're not exterminating
Yeah.
them. So
Mm.
the next day, Dexter, the businessman and ingenue he was, he put an ad in the paper promising to buy up all the street cats and treat them well.
Aww.
Yep. So what he did was so smart because he put the cats on his boat and he sailed them to the Caribbean. I know this sounds really bad
Love
to do,
boats.
but he
No,
sailed
no,
them to the
cats
Caribbean.
love boats.
And they, yes, that's why in the beginning I was talking about all the cats on the boat, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Then
was wondering what that was.
he sold them into the warehouses so they could deal with the rat infestations. And I was like,
Wow.
oh my God, like what a
Bro.
even more genius. And the cats were
Yeah.
treated super well because they helped take care of the rat problems. And so they were all fed. They
Dude.
had a beautiful house. He sold, and the
Aw.
warehouse owners
Better
like paid
weather.
top dollar for cats. So he made even more money doing good for the cats.
Wow. Who is this
I am-
person?
Look,
I'm intrigued.
I know that my feelings towards him are a bowling pin about to get fucking smashed down right now. But I'm just gonna say, I'm rooting for the bowling pin. Okay, like I'm
Yeah,
on his side
for
right
sure.
now.
For sure. Yeah.
What a
So
hero.
at this point, no matter what he did, he didn't fit in with them. They still didn't like him. They still were just like, he's just a poor boy from a poor family, and they could not accept who he come. So
He's just too good for them.
he had a few last tricks up his sleeves. he decided that if he wanted to get the respect he deserved, he would have to have a title. So this is the first trick. He paid every kid that addressed him as the Earl of Chester, which he just had moved to recently. So every
Last name
adult
Grey.
that did this, yep, Earl Grey, yep. And every adult was taken for dinner and drinks if they addressed him as the Earl of Chester.
Wow.
So he just was like, I'm just going to pay for it now that I have all this money and I keep making more. So I'll be an Earl, whatever. The Lord of Chester. Lord Earl of Chester was what he wanted people to call him. So
Oh my
at that time, finally, people started, being like, oh, I respect you.
Yeah.
He started getting the respect he deserves. People started inviting him over for parties and for tea. I mean, he was a little late for the Boston Tea Party, but, as his circle grew, he grew suspicious that people were just hanging out with him for his money.
Duh.
Obviously.
Hey, I'm starting to think maybe these guys don't just like me.
After just paying them to call him this thing, he was like, oh, now I'm getting weary that these people are paying for or want me to pay them for their services and for hanging out. So he decided, well, I'm going to pretend that I died. That'll show me who my real friends are.
What the fuck?
So he planned a huge funeral with pomp and stance and everything in between. He had over 3,000 guests, and he paid and instructed his family how to act because they knew he wasn't dead. Like, his family had just seen him. They knew he wasn't dead.
They were
So,
cool with this.
They were just like, well, he's paying me, so whatever. He bribed
Yeah.
him. Yeah. So this would not turn out how you expect, because literally not 30 minutes after the funeral, the crowd of people found him in the kitchen beating his wife with a cane. He was beating his wife with a cane. And he did it. He did it because he said she had been laughing and having fun with her friends and not acting sad.
Oh my god.
There's the turning point
That's-
right there.
Yeah, you just got my bowling pin right there.
Yep.
Oh my god.
He then and only then got the notoriety he was seeking, but not as a great businessman, a magnate, or a badass mofo. He was called a buffoon and a wife beater, and he
Wow.
died not more than 6 months after that stunt.
His last invention was a sleeveless, low cut neck, white fitting shirt, a t-shirt that soldiers eventually made famous in tanks that they would call a tank top.
Yep.
It was also known as the wife beater.
He had called a t-shirt for Timothy shirt, so that kind of works out, you know?
He was like, hey, these are my favorite shirts. I'm gonna call them Timothy shirts.
Yeah.
This is this story is like an exaggeration of Joey, of like you when you helped Selena and I move into the house like about a month ago. Every single time that you fell while you were helping us carry so much shit into the house, you only fell on the softest things we owned.
Oh yeah, that's
Like, it was
right,
just
yeah.
like,
I keep filing him.
Oh shit! Yeah, like it's like raining. You're carrying a fucking I don't know, a washing machine down a slippery metal ramp. Totally fine. You're walking a couch on a beautifully sunny day. The couch maybe weighs 100 pounds. There's two people carrying it. And you're like, oh no! And you like fall and like cartoonishly stumble, and you're just like, oh, and like drop your arm up on the end of the couch, and you're just like, oops, I fell into luxury. Like I watched that happen at least 20 times. I feel exactly like the neighbors did in this story. That's all I'm saying.
Moving on into another person who decided maybe I can get away with faking my own death. We come to the story of one Belle Gunnis. The coolest name that I think I've ever heard.
Ooh.
Yep. So Belle Gunnis was born as Brynhild Paulstatter Storsett on November 11th, 1859 in Selbu, Norway. She immigrated to Chicago in 1881 at 22 years old. There's not a whole lot about her early life that is there, except that her father bought a farm in Norway, and she decided she wanted to move to Chicago. So it's not
She was
much,
like, it
honestly.
smells like cow shit. I want to move.
Yeah. And again, just like the last guy, she had big dreams. So when she moved to Chicago, she worked as a maid and then got a job as a butcher.
Oof.
So, yeah, she was described as 5'7", around 200 pounds, and built very, very, very muscular. So
She's thick.
Nice.
she is huge and very intimidating to a lot of people. So it was here that she met her first husband, Mads Deltlev Anton Sorensen, or I will call him from now on Albert Sorensen, much easier. A lot of these names are from their home Norway. It's where most of them are from. So they
There's
have like
8
six
syllables
names.
I've never heard together.
Yeah, they have 6 names, and it's really interesting. Just like just have 2. I know sometimes their names mean that that's what their occupation was, so that kind of adds into their name. So they married in 1884, and not long after they married, they opened a candy store together. The candy store, however, was not doing well, and instead of working on the store and making the store work, they had taken out an insurance policy on the store, and the store magically burned down, and boom, they
It
received the
always
insurance
do.
money. Yep.
Magically.
Belle told she told the
Candy's
insurance
super flammable.
it's true, but she told the insurance investigators that a kerosene lamp was the reason the fire started, but the investigators never found the lamp, and they just went, it's fine, and they gave them the money.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Very important lesson for her. So, using that money, Belle and her husband purchased a house. And not long after they had that house, it too burned to the ground.
Mhm.
They
Damn.
collected the money from that.
Wow.
So, it wouldn't end there. Their tragedy wouldn't end there. 2 of their children died in infancy of acute colitis, which most people around assumed that she had poisoned them. So they kind of guessed that she had poisoned them because acute
Because both of the
colitis.
children burned down.
Both of the children burned down. Yes. Acute colitis is only caused by either a temporary infection or food intolerance. And so normally if it stops happening, it usually goes away within a week or 2. So it's not really that bad. So knowing that, she definitely killed them because
Oh my!
she kept feeding them poison.
She killed her own
Wait,
kids
She killed 2 kids. Yep.
for money.
No, she killed her former employees of the candy shop. So colitis.
They were
right?
they were infants. They were infants too. So
Wow.
they had
No
the
loss.
the reason she did it is because she put an insurance policy on both of her kids.
So
Damn.
sick.
Get that money. Yes.
It is incredible to me that insurance agencies, like as a concept, survived long enough to evolve to be the overly paranoid, fuck you, we're not going to pay you for what you've been paying us for years
Mm-hmm.
situation that they are right now. There are a handful of like good insurance policy like providers and stuff out there. Shout out to Joey's dad, very long time. But I'm just saying, like, there's a handful. It's almost like going to a new mechanic in a town you've never been to. You were like,
Yep.
are they just going to break this shit on my car and charge me for it, or are they being honest? I don't fucking know. What's a tire? You know, like you just don't
Mhm.
know when you go in there. At least I don't. But
Yeah.
like, okay, so this is interesting to me for like one reason. I really need to point this out. It's not just my delirium. So in the first story, Timothy was just like accidentally falling into the best possible financial investments and endeavors that he could
Mhm.
possibly fucking make in his life, all at the
was.
encouragement of his ne'er-do-well neighbors, right? That
Mhm.
was the first scenario.
Yep.
This scenario is people realizing that if they fall into expectations that do end badly, they can make money. I feel like this second scenario, this Belle Gunnis scenario, is more modern America. Oops, my bank closed. You know, like it's
Yeah.
just like, oh no, what is Silicon Valley gonna do? Like it's just
Mhm.
like, we don't got the money, and it's
Mhm.
like, okay, we got your back. We got your back. Government jumps in. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody's fucking happy besides the people working for them, which is everybody.
Yeah.
So like this is the transition to modern America. First time, people are doing it by mistake. Second time, It was meant to look like it was a mistake.
Yep.
This is good. This is good. I'm here
So,
for it.
yeah. So it's insurance won't stop there. She was big in insurance fraud. So Belle Gunness put 2 insurance policies on her husband. Well, he put them on himself. So she convinced him to do the first one, which he already had, which he did, which was kind of a lower policy. It wasn't that great. She convinced him to do a much, 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 much larger insurance policy.
$6.
Probably 6 to 6,000, something very huge. So while the policies were going, so one was set to end and one was set to start, and she was like, you know what, like is a good thing, because you don't want them to lapse, you don't want to not have insurance on you during a certain time. She had them cross over. So at the time they both overlapped each other, and the last one, the smaller one, was about to expire, Albert just seemingly died of heart failure.
Oh my god.
Shit.
So
Sucks.
Belle also convinced the coroners not to do an autopsy, much to the chagrin of Albert's family, who pushed so much, thinking something was wrong, to do to do an autopsy, and they never did it.
Wow.
So she ended up collecting both insurance policies, and she was set up for a while. But knowing her, she wasn't set.
Wow.
So she
Mm.
purchased a new home, a farm, on the outskirts of LaPorte, Indiana, with the insurance money. She moved there in 1901 with a few children she adopted. So she adopted some children, so probably to get money down the line somehow.
She
I don't
just
know.
adopted a gang of children.
Yeah, she had three. She had three
What are you
children
guys
that she
doing?
adopted.
Get in the truck.
Yeah, pretty much just on the street. She just picked them up. So in 1902, she married the namesake. She married Peter Gunness, and so this is when she actually, that's the name she kept, because that was her last husband. So she kept that name, and he brought with him 2 daughters. So he had an older daughter that was like teens, and one younger daughter that was like 6 to 8 years old. So a few months after they were married, Peter's youngest daughter died.
No.
Yep.
Was it a heart failure candy shop accident?
She
These
died.
things are a plague.
She died randomly. I don't remember how she died. She died of.
Oh,
it
okay.
didn't
So
say,
it
yeah.
wasn't having heart failure inside of a burning candy shop. She was good.
Could have been. Well, she hit it very well. So, and then 8 months after Peter and Belle had married, he died. So Peter Gunness died, as Belle put it, that he was reaching for something so high on the shelf, and a meat grinder fell on his head.
Oh my god.
A meat grinder fell on his head. And so again, the coroners were like, okay, so this is the second time in like 2 years that she's had a husband that's about to die.
She's
That
not
died.
even,
So
like, chill about it.
no. And so they actually like did like a little test to see if she was telling the truth. They found out that it couldn't possibly have happened like that. And then just were like, you know what, whatever, it's fine. And then didn't go after it anymore. And so she just walked away.
Wow.
What you're not including is they literally tied her to a pole and threw her into the water, and she floated.
Yeah. And
She
so she
actually
didn't
fucking
die.
floated. She
Yeah,
was
so
good.
she-
She was good. She was cool.
Yep.
God saved her.
Yep, true. And so after this, you know, a lot of people know about the Lonely Hearts ads, which was her famous signature. So she started putting ads in newspapers calling Norwegian men that were traveling to the U.S. to marry her. So the ad stated she was a wealthy widow looking for a, quote, good, kind, and reliable man to marry.
You
Right?
up?
Yep, you up? They were sliding into her DMs all the time. So I don't really want to go into all the murders, because last week we've had so many murders. I just
Damn.
can't deal with going into the actual murders of the men that they found out. And there wasn't super a lot of information on those either, because, you know, she didn't talk about it. So, so Belle's grift brought in many men, and it was rumored that around 30 to 40 men came to visit and stay with her
Wow.
forever. So Belle would invite men to stay with her, but making sure they bring in large sums of money and all their valuables.
In the letters that they would like pass on, like she would tell them things to tell their family, like I got a different job in a different state. You know, like I'm just, you know, leaving, don't contact me. And she'd be like, okay, so what I want you to do is take out all of your money,
Mm.
get all of your valuables, and then move here. And I think there was like one person that was like kind of giving her a hard time about it. Like he didn't really want to. And yeah.
Yeah.
So she was a murderer.
Yes.
Who was that wannabe barrel salesman that I wrote an entire episode about? Who's a serial killer, hid all the bodies, and I've been
Oh,
I think since
Bella
like episode
Kiss.
2,
Bella
Bella
Kiss.
Kish.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, that's a Bella Kish fucking move right there.
Yep.
Like,
And
damn.
so what was awesome is that during this time, after they would murder him, the guy, and it was her, and she had a few others, wasn't ever said that anybody else really, in quotations, helped her. But, I mean, she was muscular, super muscular, so she didn't have any problems. But she would also poison them, so she poisoned them to death. It was easier for her to do it that way, and very much easier for her. So they would write the families too, like what Selena was talking about, after they died, saying that they left.
I mean, wouldn't she have them write the letters though?
I don't remember if she did. I think she, because a lot of people said that they thought it weird that they talk like that, and so I do think that she wrote the letters to them. I mean, it wasn't wholly specified who actually wrote the letters, but I think but some of the families said that it was very weird, the way that they sounded and the way that they talked. So I think that, in just looking into it, I think that she wrote the letters, maybe with the help of one of the people, the hands at the house or something like that, help write the letters. So I don't want to go into all the murders, but I do want to go into the last one because it was her last one. In 1908, a lonely man named Andrew Hegelin was, I think how you say that, Hegelin, and he saw the ad in the newspaper and thought, why not? I'd love to meet a lonely, wealthy widow. Also want to ask guys, what do you think Belle Gunness's app would be called? I think it would be called Grifter.
Ooh.
Instead of Grinder.
Damn.
Instead of Grinder, it'd be called Grifter.
It'd be called Murder.
Yes, without the E though.
Fuck.
Yeah, it'll be MRDR.
I have no idea.
Yep.
I don't know what the app would be called, but I know that every time it loaded, it would just be like, you can ring my bell. Ring my bell. And you'd
That
be like,
song, yeah.
yeah, about to get laid tonight.
Mhm.
But then actually you just be fucking throwing up white vomit while this lady is just fucking writing a letter trying to sound like you in front of you for like probably like 2.5. It would be an awkward period of time. It wouldn't be like a 5-second thing and you just die. You would be watching this for like an hour as you're choking out.
So Belle, trying to trap Andrew into coming to the house, she wrote him a letter that said, "My heart beats in rapture for you. Come prepared to stay forever." Like the literal like innuendo in those are just amazing to me. So indeed he would stay there forever. He was one of the last murders she would commit. And the only reason she had people coming around because Andrew's brother, Aisley, I think, Asle. I wouldn't think that's Isle. I think it's Aisley.
These names died for a reason.
Yeah, had been in constant contact with Andrew. So when Andrew stopped answering his letters, he got very worried. He'd started demanding answers. And demanding answers, by the way, they're sending letters back and forth to each other. So it's like they're sitting there like jamming the pen down on the thing and then waits for like weeks to get an answer. So they're sitting. So Belle answered, very easy to take time to write up excuses. So Belle answered, well, he might have moved back to Chicago or gone back to Norway. So he was buried underneath the house. And at this point, Belle was having problems with a farmhand that she had hired named Ray Lampier. Ray had fallen in love with Belle.
Yeah, she was having sex with him.
It
was like her live-in sex buddy.
Yep, it was easy. It was better for her because she didn't want to sleep with her griffs, because they're all
she can
older.
lay Ray all day.
Yep.
But like she just needs to get these griffs moving.
Yep, she got that Ray
I
lay.
respect this.
So eventually, though, Ray and what Belle said is Ray was getting jealous of her. So so Belle fired Ray from the farm. After she did that, she found out like Ray was talking to other farmhands around the area because he got a job to a neighbor close to her. But cleverly wrote a letter to her attorney stating that Ray was extremely jealous of her and wanted the land and also wanted her hand. But because she wouldn't marry him, he said he would burn down the house with everyone in it. And that was her letter she dropped off at the attorney's. And I guess you can see where this is going. As she dropped the letter off at the attorney's house, she went and bought toys for the children and some kerosene.
Jesus.
That same night, the house burned up in flames. So they found the bodies of the 3 children first, which they also said that once they did autopsies later, the 3 children were drugged first. And so that they just died in the house. And so she got what she wanted because at first they blamed Ray. So they blamed Ray he started the fire. And so they also
Ray King.
Yeah, Ray King. I love it. So they also found the body of a lady, and at first they thought it was her, but they looked at the height and the build, and it was very much shorter. The build was like a 5'1", 5'2" build and height, and the build was very slender. So they still assumed it was her because they're like, whatever, case closed. We don't have to deal with it. So later on, they actually did DNA evidence, and they said that they could not confirm that it was her, meaning that it wasn't her.
I always found it suspicious that they found this lady buried 6 feet deep in a yard with a stone with her name above the ground. But they found her there. Very sus.
Very much. So
who was it?
They think that it was a lady, a friend of hers or a neighbor that she just invited to the house and kind of trapped her there, drugged her, and then burned the house because she was such a good grifter, honestly, because like nobody in the town suspected anything. When she moved to the farm, people stopped suspecting. Yeah, it's so obvious. They were like, oh, even though people were coming into the house, they were just like, whatever, it's okay. She died, that was like 1908, 1910 or something around there. So later on in 1931, a woman named Esther Carlson was arrested in Los Angeles for poisoning her husband. Her husband was a Norwegian American, and she was trying to steal his money. And she looked eerily similar to Belle Gunness, and also carried with her a picture of 3 children who also looked very similar to her kids that burned in the house fire.
Wow.
I always said don't trust the Norwegians.
Right? And before she could go to trial, she died of tuberculosis.
Damn. Every time. Literally.
She got the grift. The grift was done. Yep. She got arrested and was like, her body was like, I'm done. Cool.
Wow.
Well.
I was so nuts. Belle Gunness, great grifter. So, moving into our next case. The next cases, they're a bit shorter because a little less information on them and a bit weirder circumstances. So let's start moving to our modern day. So, William Groth. He was a Nashville attorney who, much like Belle Gunness, attempted to defraud a life insurance company by faking his own death. So, William Groth disappeared on November 19th, 2008.
Oof.
Yeah. So, what a year. During that evening, his BlackBerry, his jewelry, and his credit card, that's where you get the BlackBerry from in the intro too, and his jorts were found tied up in a plastic bag on a random lawn in a home in South 5th Street Avenue, 5th Street in Franklin County. So police found that. It's Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville.
Yeah, he's a Nashville attorney.
Yeah.
Yep.
Literally, for anybody who wasn't alive at the time or there, that sounds like some shit that would happen in 2008.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
Later that night, police had found his Honda Civic parked in a park near the Cumberland River boat ramp. So Cumberland River in Nashville, all the very similar famous spots there. So at this time, the police were looking for him, and they launched a drag and a search of the river. So they basically had divers go down there checking everything out. They threw some nets in there to try to drag stuff out. And the only thing they found on the riverside was a hat and a wallet. And they also found a leather jacket that was actually in the river, which was his. So all this stuff he threw out. So a couple days later, the police received a phone call from the supposed murderer of William Groth, claiming that he had murdered him. So the police being like, this is pretty weird because that never happens. And for this random guy, they used a voice analyzer on the call because he used a voice modulator. They found out that it was literally William Groth calling and telling them that he murdered himself.
Oh my god.
So
Good move.
They found him at a hotel, which he called from in Montana, and which he had checked in under his wife's maiden name. So he had a family too. So this was like a really crazy thing. He stayed there and even helped cook the staff dinner. So he was like this big guy in this town. I mean, he was nice to the people. But so he was caught and given probation for 5 years.
Oh
And then
my
paid
Wait,
back the
what?
money. Yep. Probation for 5
Oh,
years and paid back
that's
the
all?
money. That's all. And paid back the Metro Police the $11,000 that it cost for him to get searched for. So we got one more story. And this one is actually a bit more mystic. Might be true, might not be. We'll see. But it is an amazing story, and I love it. So the next story is Jacquot Delahaye. So Jacquot Delahaye, or Back from the Dead Red, was her nickname. Yeah, this is a much more interesting story because some people believe this is just a legend, and some people believe she actually existed. She was born somewhere in the 1600s around Haiti. So what is told about her young life is that her mother died in childbirth, giving birth to her. Her father was brutally murdered when she was very young. So in order to put food on the table, she had a disabled brother. She turned to piracy,
Yay!
as you would at this
Wow.
time.
Honestly, fully legit in a situation like that where you're growing up.
Yep.
If
And in
that's
Haiti.
the closest outlet if that is the closest outlet you have to some semblance of like stability, relief, growth. Sorry, what? Like you're taking it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
damn. This is
Yeah.
a hard start.
So there weren't a lot of opportunities for her, in Haiti at this time, for especially young girls. So she had to do what she could. Before long, she made a huge name for herself in the high seas, robbing and pillaging ships that would come in the trade route at the time. So at this time in Haiti is the French. The French had colonized this. They had colonized most of the island, and they created a lot of sugarcane plantations. So this meant the island would be the biggest slave trade hub in the world. So everyone was coming through Haiti and this island to get to the other places. So the smaller ships that would come in, she would take them. She would eventually become despised by the other pirate crews and captains because she was so good at it at a very young age. And they were very jealous that she could do this so easily and not be caught. So she teamed up with another female captain named Anne de Levay. They put a small team together to start raiding small boats that would come to the Isles. They would just go after the small boats, because the bigger boats are obviously covered and guarded by French warships. So as they started gaining notoriety together, the local government, French government, was now chasing them down. Also, they were being chased down by the other pirates because they put a price on her head too. So
Oh damn.
she couldn't sustain this life, obviously. Because she's
Obviously.
being hunted by people who are working with her, and she's being hunted by people that are working against her. So it was time to fake her death. During a big naval battle she was having, she just pretended to be one of the people killed.
I mean,
And she died.
ow, it hit me.
Yeah, and she died. And so she just fell overboard and just floated away, and she retired. And she created an alias, and she became a man.
Oh my
And that way
god.
she
Genius.
This is a 100% legitimate scenario to fake your own death.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say that.
That's how you
she
do
dressed
it.
as a man. She put her hair up. She like lowered her voice to talk more like in a manly era in this time in the 1600s,
Isn't there
so
a
she
movie
could blend
about
in
this?
So she could blend in and also have freedom.
and have a little more freedom. Yeah.
Mhm.
So after a few years of being retired, as you would, most people get bored. So she couldn't just sit on the couch and watch all these things being plundered. The seas were calling. So she scraped together about 100 other pirates. So obviously,
Jesus, chitty
yeah.
fucking Christ! What? 100 other.
100 other
Joey,
pirates.
do you know how long it would take me? I'm not even on an island, right?
Yep.
Like I'm inland here, but we all are. But like, how long would it take any of us to gather 100 people? We're celebrating getting like 100 Spotify like subscribers. Like Jesus Christ!
And
I'm
you
just
know
saying
what?
she was a badass.
Yeah.
And you know what? She did it the same way. She just went on their phones and she made us follow them.
So
And she went, okay, cool. Like now I have 100 followers. So she got 100
Yeah.
pirates by like putting up flyers, the way they would do, talking to her friends, her ex-pirate
QR
friends,
codes.
QR codes.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah,
she
social.
donned the name because
Uh-huh.
because she had long red hair, striking red hair. She got donned the name Back from the Dead Red. So because they all thought she died.
Cool.
You know,
Solid fucking
Yeah.
name.
And they all
Damn,
thought
that's
she
a
was
sick
dead
name.
because she didn't want anybody to know. But as she was coming, she couldn't. They knew who it was because she was striking red hair. They all knew that was her, so she couldn't hide anymore. So she took a bunch of boats and a lot of sailors. She just needed a place to stay. So Jacquot took her boats and assailed the island of Tortuga.
Oh, Tortuga.
So the port got taken over by pirates. And so she used that as her home. Eventually, it got attacked by other pirates. And she died defending it. Actually died defending it instead of faking it. She died defending it then.
Aww.
Yeah. I mean, likely story. Maybe she
Wow.
just retired again. But
I believe the last letter she sent to her mom, who actually managed to still be alive at the time, was, "Find me in Washington. My name will be Nancy Pelosi." Continued on.
just
You
reincarnated.
know what? Mad respect.
Yeah.
Mad respect.
No, she was
Honestly-
a badass. Yeah, she was a badass, honestly.
Right? Like, I want a day dedicated to her. Like, first off, like, we got, like, Blackbeard and shit like that, where it's just like, wow, you were able to name the color of the hair on my face.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. She's fucking Red Dead, fucking, like, coming in, fucking naming video games hundreds of years before they come out. It's fucking, like, faking her death. Left,
Yep.
right, left, right. Fucking, what? Need a small army? Got you. Like,
Yep.
hundreds of people fucking show up when she shows up. Like,
Yep.
she's fucking solid.
I-
I don't see anything wrong that she did at
No.
any point in this story.
There's a thing that was really cool too. So before she got notoriety as like the huge pirate that she was actually in a really huge battle, naval battle, and she became like a hero because she did a lot of stuff to help defend the ships as well. So from such an early age, she was just skilled. Some people have it, some people just have that
Yeah.
skill that where like Belle Gunness is a grifter. She had that skill from an early age. She just knew how to work the seas. She knew how to inspire people. She knew how to collect people to work together. So that was like a huge thing that she did. So there's one thing I've learned from reading all these stories. It's that it's technically not illegal to fake your own death. Most
That
people
is
do
so
it
good
for
to know.
illicit reasons, like tax
Yeah,
evasion or
right.
insurance fraud.
Seriously.
But the
It's
actual
almost April.
right?
You need to tell us this information.
Well, it's illegal to do that. But it's not actually illegal to do it if you're just faking your own death. I would argue that changing your name is very similar. Your information legally follows you, but people, changing your Facebook name, people aren't going to be able to find you anymore. That's kind of the faking
Hell
your death
no.
nowadays. So
No one can find me.
while we here at the Black Cat Report do not condone doing so, especially if you've seen that Friends episode where Ross fakes his own death and sees a hot girl come to his funeral, then pops out of nowhere. Then she leaves because, well, Ross is pretty freaking creepy anyways. So
That's in our
you-
homework
Yeah.
this week.
if you don't want to be like Ross and don't have a band of pirates chasing after you for the price on your head, then just legally change your name. You could change it to Selena, Betsabe, Gil, or even Joey. Thank you so much for listening to the Black Cat Report and our episode on people who fake their own deaths. This was a fun one to research and tell. Don't take our word for it. Listen to our sponsors, Timothy's Mouse Trousers. Hi everyone, I'm Timothy from Timothy Mouse Trousers, or Mousers is what I call them. There's nothing more relaxing than faking your own death and popping on the Black Cat Report while you watch the funeral. I support them 100%. Well, we here at the Black Cat Report do not condone any action Timothy has taken except for the saving of the cats. Anyways, join us next week for some more Black Cat Report action, and we'll see you on the other side.